The morning sun filters through the sheer curtains of our kitchen, casting long, golden streaks across the linoleum floor. I stand at the counter, my fingers tracing the edge of a chipped coffee mug, the ceramic cool and familiar under my touch. The faint scent of burnt toast lingers in the air, a reminder of last night's rushed dinner, when Tom and I barely spoke over the clatter of plates. Outside, the neighbor's dog barks intermittently, its sharp yaps slicing through the quiet like a knife. I should be relieved, it's Saturday, no work, no deadlines, but my chest feels tight, like a knot I can't unravel. I glance at the calendar on the fridge, its edges curling from too many magnets. 3 years. 3 years since the wedding, since the promises, since I thought we'd figured it out. But lately something's shifted. It's not loud or dramatic, not like the fights we used to have when we were dating, all fire and passion. No, this is quieter, heavier, a slow drift like two ships pulling apart in still water. I catch myself wondering if he notices it too, or if I'm the only one drowning in the silence. Tom shuffles into the room, his slippers scuffing against the floor. He's wearing the same gray sweatshirt he's had since college, the one with the frayed cuffs I've begged him to throw out. "Morning," he mumbles, his voice rough with sleep, and he doesn't look at me as he reaches for the coffee pot. His hair is tousled, sticking up at odd angles, and for a moment, I want to reach out, smooth it down, remind him of the mornings when we'd laugh over spilled milk and stolen kisses. But my hand stays where it is, gripping the mug too tightly, my knuckles whitening. "Big plans today?" I ask, forcing my voice to stay light, casual. It's a habit now, this careful dance around each other, like we're afraid one wrong step will shatter everything. He shrugs, pouring coffee into a chipped mug of his own, the steam rising in lazy curls. "Maybe help Dad with the garage." "You." I hesitate, my eyes dropping to the counter where a stack of unopened mail sits, edges yellowing. "Book club at Lisa's." The usual. It's a lie or close enough. There's no book club, not today. But I can't tell him I need space, that I spent last night scrolling through old photos on my phone, searching for the girl I used to be, the one who didn't second-guess every decision, who didn't feel like she was disappearing into the wallpaper of this house, this life. He nods, but there's a flicker in his eyes, something I can't read. Disappointment? Relief? I'm not sure anymore. "Okay. Have fun," he says, and turns toward the living room, coffee sloshing slightly in his cup. The door swings shut behind him with a soft click, and the silence rushes back in, heavier than before. My breath catches, and I press a hand to my chest, feeling the rapid thud of my heart. It's not supposed to be like this, I think. Not after all the vows, the late nights, the dreams we shared. I sink into a chair at the table, the wood creaking under my weight. The surface is littered with remnants of our life together, his keys, my notebook, a half-empty bottle of wine from last week that neither of us bothered to put away. I pick up the notebook, flipping it open to a page of doodles and half-formed to-do lists. There, in the margin, is a sketch I don't remember drawing. A bird, wings spread, trapped inside a cage. My throat tightens, and I close the book quickly, as if I can shut away the thought that comes with it. That maybe I'm the one who's caged, not just by marriage, but by expectations, by the person I thought I'd become. The phone buzzes on the counter, pulling me back. It's a text from Sarah, my best friend since high school. "Dinner tonight? Need to talk." Her words are casual, but there's an urgency in them that makes my stomach twist. I type back a quick yes, my fingers trembling slightly. Sarah always sees through me, always knows when something's wrong. Maybe she'll have answers, or at least a distraction. But as I set the phone down, I catch sight of myself in the small mirror hanging by the door. My eyes are shadowed, my lips pressed into a thin line. I look tired, worn, like the faded curtains that let in too much light and not enough warmth. Outside, the wind picks up, rattling the window panes. A single leaf skitters across the glass, caught and then released, and I watch it until it disappears from view. It's just a leaf, I tell myself, but the ache in my chest says otherwise. It's a reminder of freedom, of movement, of everything I'm not sure I have anymore. I stand, smoothing my hands down my jeans, feeling the fabric rough against my palms. I need to get out, to breathe, to figure out why the life I built feels like it's slipping through my fingers. But first, I need to face the day, and the man in the next room who feels both too close and impossibly far away. The closet door creaks as I pull it open, the sound sharp in the stillness of our bedroom. Rows of clothes hang before me, a muted palette of grays, beiges, and navy blues, each piece practical, safe, chosen for a life that feels like it belongs to someone else. My fingers hover over a cardigan I've worn 100 times, its fabric pilled and soft from too many washes. I pause, my breath catching, as Daniel's voice echoes in my mind from last week's dinner at the Thompsons. "That sweater," he'd said, his tone light but pointed. "It's comfortable, isn't it?" His smile had been kind, but his eyes lingered on the host's wife, her crimson dress catching the candlelight like a flame. Comfortable. The word stings not because it's cruel, but because it's true. I've been hiding in these clothes, in this life, wrapping myself in layers that dull the edges of who I used to be. My gaze drifts to the far corner of the closet, where a sliver of bright blue peeks out from behind a stack of folded jeans. My heart skips, a quick, unsteady thud. I reach for it, pulling free a dress I haven't touched in years. The fabric spills over my hands, vibrant and smooth, like a summer sky bottled in silk. I'd bought it on a whim before we were married, back when Daniel's laughter was a spark that lit up every room, when I felt bold enough to wear something that demanded to be seen. I hold the dress against my chest, catching my reflection in the full-length mirror across the room. My hair is pulled back in a loose bun, strands escaping to frame a face that looks too pale, too tired. The woman in the mirror frowns, her fingers tightening around the fabric. I remember the last time I wore this dress, Daniel's hand on my waist, his breath warm against my ear as he whispered, "You're stunning." That was before the mortgage, before the late-night arguments about bills, before the quiet evenings where the TV's hum replaced our conversations. Back when love felt like a current, electric and alive, not a routine carved into the calendar. My throat tightens, and I turn away from the mirror, laying the dress across the bed. The blue seems to glow against the white comforter, a splash of color that feels both foreign and familiar. I sit beside it, my fingers tracing the hem, the stitching precise and delicate. Why haven't I worn it? The question gnaws at me, unearthing a deeper one. When did I stop wanting to be noticed? Not just by Daniel, but by myself. I think of his comment again, the way it landed like a pebble in still water, ripples spreading through me. It wasn't about the sweater, not really. It was about us, about the space growing between who we were and who we've become. The floorboards creak downstairs, and I hear Daniel's voice, muffled, talking on the phone. Probably work, always work. I stand, smoothing my hands down my jeans, the denim rough against my palms. My eyes flick back to the dress. I could put it away, shove it back into the closet, let it gather dust with the other pieces of me I've tucked out of sight. Or I could wear it. The thought sends a shiver through me, a mix of fear and something else. Excitement, maybe, like the flutter I felt years ago when Daniel first kissed me under a streetlight, rain speckling our faces. I slip out of my sweatshirt, the air cool against my skin, and pull the dress over my head. The fabric slides down my body, light and fluid, hugging my curves in a way that feels like a rediscovery. I tug the zipper up, my fingers trembling slightly, and step back to the mirror. The woman staring back isn't the one from 10 minutes ago. Her shoulders are straighter, her chin lifted, the blue bringing out a warmth in her eyes I'd forgotten was there. I smooth my hands over the skirt, the silk whispering under my touch. And for a moment, I'm 25 again, dancing in a crowded bar, Daniel's gaze locking onto mine like I was the only person in the room. The bedroom door opens, and I freeze, my pulse racing. Daniel steps in, his phone still in hand, his brow furrowed until he looks up. His eyes widen just for a second, before a slow smile curves his lips. "Wow," he says, his voice soft, almost reverent. "That dress. I haven't seen it in forever." He steps closer, and I catch the faint scent of his cologne, cedar and citrus, the same one he wore when we were dating. My stomach flips, a nervous, giddy twist, and I'm not sure if it's the dress or the way he's looking at me, like he's seeing me for the first time in years. "Yeah," I say, my voice steadier than I feel. "I thought maybe it was time to wear it again." I force a smile, but my hands fidget at my sides, nails digging into my palms. He tilts his head, studying me, and I wonder what he sees, the girl he fell in love with, or the wife he's grown used to, the one who blends into the background of our life together. "You look." He pauses, searching for the word, and I hold my breath, afraid it'll be something safe, something like nice. But then he says, "Radiant." The word hangs in the air, warm and heavy, and my chest aches with a longing I can't name. I want to believe him, want to believe this dress can bridge the gap between us, but there's a flicker of doubt, sharp and cold. Is it the dress he's seeing, or me? And why does it feel like I'm performing, like I'm trying to win back something I didn't realize I'd lost? "Going somewhere?" he asks, his tone shifting, curious but guarded. He sets his phone on the dresser, the screen dark, and leans against the wall, arms crossed. There's a tension in his posture, subtle but there, like he's waiting for something I haven't said. I hesitate, my fingers brushing the skirt again, the fabric grounding me. Sarah invited me to dinner. I say, which is true, but it feels like a half answer. I don't tell him about the restlessness clawing at me, the need to feel like myself again, not just his wife, not just the woman who keeps the house running. Thought I'd dress up a little. He nods, but his smile fades slightly, and I wonder if he senses it too. The undercurrent of change, the way this dress is more than just fabric. You should, he says, his voice quieter now. You deserve to feel good. There's something in his eyes, a flicker of regret, maybe, or recognition, and it makes my heart twist. I want to ask him what he means, want to dig into the silence that's grown between us, but the words stick in my throat. Instead, I turn back to the mirror, adjusting a strap, avoiding his gaze. The dress catches the light, shimmering faintly, and I feel a surge of resolve, fragile but real. This isn't just about Daniel, I realize. It's about me, about remembering who I am, who I can still be. The thought is exhilarating and terrifying, like stepping onto a tightrope without a net. I don't know where this night will lead, or what it means for us, but for the first time in months, I feel awake, alive, like the world is full of possibilities I'd forgotten how to see. I grab my purse from the chair, the leather cool against my fingers, and glance at Daniel one last time. He's still watching me, his expression unreadable, and I wonder if he feels it too. The shift, the turning point, the way this moment feels like the start of something new, or maybe the end of something old. I'll see you later, I say, my voice soft but firm, and I step out of the room, the dress swishing around my knees, carrying me forward into the unknown. The holiday gathering at Sarah's house hums with life, a chaotic symphony of clinking glasses, laughter, and the low murmur of overlapping voices. I stand near the fireplace, the heat licking at my bare arms, the blue dress catching flickers of orange light. My fingers curl around a glass of wine, the stem cool and slick, though I've barely sipped it. The room smells of pine from the towering Christmas tree in the corner, its branches heavy with tinsel and ornaments, and the faint sweetness of mulled cider drifting from the kitchen. I should feel warm, festive, but my chest is tight, like I'm holding my breath underwater. Sarah's living room is packed, friends, neighbors, a few faces I vaguely recognize from years ago. They swirl around me, their voices blending into a wall of sound that makes my head throb. I catch snippets of conversation, someone's new job, a kid's soccer game, a joke that sends a ripple of laughter through the crowd. I force a smile when eyes meet mine, but it feels like a mask, slipping with every passing minute. The dress, which felt so bold this afternoon, now seems too loud, too exposed, like I'm shouting for attention I'm not sure I want. I spot Daniel across the room, leaning against the wall near the dessert table, his tie loosened, a beer bottle dangling from his fingers. He's talking to Mark, Sarah's husband, his head tilted back in a laugh that doesn't quite reach his eyes. I know that laugh. It's the one he uses when he's playing the part, when he's charming but distant. My stomach twists, a sharp, familiar pang. Is he performing for them, or for me? Or maybe for himself, pretending we're still the couple everyone thinks we are? I take a step toward him, my heels clicking softly on the hardwood, but Sarah intercepts me, her hand light on my arm. You okay? She asks, her voice low, her eyes searching mine. Her red sweater is flecked with glitter, and her hair is swept into a messy bun, a few curls escaping to frame her face. She's always been like this, perceptive, cutting through my defenses with a single look. Yeah, I say too quickly, my fingers tightening around the wine glass. Just a lot of people. It's not a lie, but it's not the truth either. She tilts her head, unconvinced, but before she can press further, someone calls her name from the kitchen, and she squeezes my arm before slipping away. I'm alone again, the crowd pressing in, the noise swelling like a tide. I drift toward the window, needing air, needing space. The glass is cold against my palm as I lean closer, peering out at the snow-dusted lawn. Fairy lights twinkle along the porch railing, their glow soft against the dark. My reflection stares back, a ghost in blue, her eyes shadowed with something I can't name. Confusion maybe, or fear. I think of the dress, of Daniel's radiant comment this morning, and my throat tightens. Why does it feel like I'm chasing something I can't catch? Hey! Daniel's voice pulls me back, soft but close, and I turn to find him standing a foot away, his beer bottle now replaced with a glass of water. His shirt is slightly wrinkled, and there's a smudge of chocolate on his cuff, probably from the brownies he can never resist. It's such a small thing, but it grounds me, a tether to the man I know, not the stranger I've been circling all night. Hey! I echo, my voice quieter than I mean it to be. I shift my weight, the dress swishing faintly, and his eyes flick down to it, lingering for a moment before meeting mine again. There's something in his gaze, curiosity maybe or hesitation. It makes my pulse quicken, a nervous flutter I haven't felt in months. Having fun? He asks, and there's an edge to it, not sharp but probing, like he's testing the water before stepping in. I shrug, my fingers brushing the edge of my glass, the wine sloshing slightly. It's loud, I say, and it's true, but it's also a dodge. I don't know how to tell him what's really going on. The way this room, this life, feels like it's swallowing me whole. The way I wore this dress to feel like myself again, only to realize I'm not sure who that is anymore. He nods, his lips pressing into a thin line, and for a moment we're silent, the chatter around us filling the gap. I want to walk away, to hide in the bathroom or slip out into the snow, but my feet stay rooted, like some part of me knows this is it. The moment we've been avoiding for weeks, maybe months. You look different tonight, he says suddenly, his voice low, almost drowned out by the clink of a spoon against a glass somewhere in the room. Not just the dress. It's you. My breath catches, and I meet his eyes, searching for what he means. There's no mockery there, no judgment, but there's something raw, unguarded, that makes my chest ache. Different how? I ask, my voice barely above a whisper, afraid of the answer but needing it all the same. He hesitates, his fingers tapping against his glass, a nervous tick I haven't seen in years. I don't know, he admits, and there's a crack in his voice, small but real. Like you're here, but you're not. Like you're looking for something. He pauses, his eyes dropping to the floor, then back to me. Are you? The question lands like a stone, heavy and cold, and my mouth goes dry. I want to laugh it off, to say he's imagining things, but the truth claws at me, sharp and undeniable. I am looking for something. Myself, maybe, or the us we used to be, or some version of a life that doesn't feel like a compromise. But how do I say that without breaking everything? Before I can answer, Sarah's voice cuts through the room, bright and commanding. Okay, everyone grab a seat. Time for the annual holiday toast. Chairs scrape, footsteps shuffle, and the crowd shifts toward the dining room, pulling Daniel and me along like a current. I catch his arm, my fingers brushing his sleeve, and he looks back, his expression unreadable. Let's talk, I say, the words spilling out before I can stop them. Not here. Somewhere quiet. He nods, slow and deliberate, and my heart pounds a wild, unsteady rhythm. We slip away from the crowd, weaving through the hallway to a small den at the back of the house. The door clicks shut behind us, muffling the noise, and the sudden silence is deafening, broken only by the faint tick of a clock on the mantel. The room is dim, lit by a single lamp, its glow pooling on the worn leather couch where we sit, close but not touching, the space between us heavy with everything unsaid. I set my wineglass on the coffee table, my hands trembling slightly, and turn to face him. His eyes are steady, but there's a tension in his jaw, like he's bracing for impact. I open my mouth, then close it, my fingers twisting in my lap, the silk of the dress catching under my nails. Where do I start? With the dress? With the way I've felt invisible? With the fear that we're slipping away from each other? And I don't know how to stop it? I don't know who I am anymore. I blurt out, and the words hang there, raw and jagged. My voice shakes, and I press my lips together, trying to steady myself. I thought this dress would fix it, like it could make me feel me again. But it's not enough. And I don't know if we're enough either. He flinches just slightly, his fingers tightening around his glass. What do you mean, not enough? His voice is quiet, but there's an edge to it, a hurt I didn't expect. I'm here, aren't I? Every day I'm here. Are you? I ask, and it comes out sharper than I mean it to. I lean forward, my hands gesturing helplessly. You're here, but it's like we're roommates, Daniel. We don't talk, not really. We don't fight, we don't laugh, we don't anything. And I keep wondering if it's my fault, if I'm the one who changed, or if we just stopped trying. He stares at me, his eyes dark and searching, and for a moment, I think he'll shut down, walk away, like he has so many times before. But then he sets his glass down, the clink loud in the quiet, and leans forward, his elbows on his knees. You think I don't see it? He says, his voice low, almost a growl. The way you've been pulling away? The way you look at me like I'm letting you down? I see it, okay? And it scares the hell out of me. My breath hitches, and I blink, my vision blurring. Then why don't you say anything? I ask, my voice cracking. Why do we just keep pretending everything's fine? Because I don't know how to fix it. He snaps, and the sudden volume makes me jump. He runs a hand through his hair, his fingers tugging at the strands, and when he speaks again, his voice is softer, broken. I love you. I've always loved you. But sometimes I look at you, and I don't know what you need anymore. And I'm terrified I'm not enough either. The air between us crackles, charged with years of unspoken fears, and my chest aches a deep, hollow pain. I reach for his hand, my fingers brushing his, and he doesn't pull away. His skin is warm, familiar, and for a moment, I'm back in our old apartment, curled up on the couch, his heartbeat steady under my cheek. But this isn't that moment, and we're not those people anymore. I wore this dress because I wanted to feel alive again, I say, my voice barely above a whisper. Not just for you, but for me. I've been so scared of losing myself, of becoming someone I don't recognize. And I thought if I could find that spark again, maybe we could too. He looks at me, really looks at me, and there's a shift in his eyes, a softening like a wall coming down. You're still you, he says, his voice rough with emotion. Maybe we've both forgotten that. But you're still the woman who danced in the rain with me, who laughed so hard she snorted at my terrible jokes. And I'm still the guy who'd do anything to see you smile. Tears spill down my cheeks, hot and fast, and I don't bother wiping them away. Then why does it feel so hard? I ask, my voice breaking. Why does it feel like we're fighting to hold on to something that's slipping away? He squeezes my hand, his grip firm, grounding. Maybe because we stopped fighting for it, he says, and there's a resolve in his voice I haven't heard in years. Maybe we got so caught up in life, work, bills, all of it, that we forgot what we're fighting for. But I'm here now, and I don't want to lose you. Not to silence, not to anything. The clock ticks on, each second heavy, and I feel the weight of his words, the truth in them. My throat tightens, and I nod, unable to speak, my fingers laced with his. The room feels smaller now, the world narrowing to this couch, this moment, the two of us facing the mess we've made and the possibility of something new. I don't know what comes next, but for the first time in months, I feel like we're in it together, raw and real, no masks, no pretenses. The lamp flickers, casting shadows across his face, and outside, the snow falls harder, a soft hush against the window. I lean closer, my shoulder brushing his, and we sit there, not speaking, just breathing, the silence no longer heavy but alive, full of questions and hope and the fragile promise of a new beginning. The snow has stopped falling by the time we leave Sarah's house, the world outside hushed and blanketed in white. I pull my coat tighter around me, the blue dress hidden beneath its woolen folds, but I can still feel its weight, its whisper against my skin. Daniel walks beside me, his hands stuffed in his pockets, his breath forming small clouds in the frigid air. The streetlights cast long, amber pools on the sidewalk, and our footsteps crunch softly, the only sound breaking the stillness. My heart feels raw, exposed, like a nerve laid bare, but there's a quiet steadiness beneath it, a clarity I haven't felt in months. We don't speak as we approach our car, parked crookedly under a bare maple tree. Daniel unlocks the doors, the beep sharp in the silence, and I slide into the passenger seat, the leather cold through my tights. He starts the engine, and the heater hums to life, sending a faint warmth across my knees. I glance at him, his profile sharp against the glow of the dashboard, his jaw relaxed but his eyes fixed on the road ahead. There's something different about him tonight. Not just the way he looked at me in the den, but the way he's carrying himself now, attentive, present, like he's finally stopped running from whatever we've been avoiding. I shift in my seat, my fingers twisting the strap of my purse, the leather creaking under my grip. The dress, that simple piece of blue silk, feels like it's still radiating from beneath my coat. A quiet rebellion against the version of myself I'd let take over, safe, predictable, invisible. I think back to this morning, when I pulled it from the closet, how it felt like unearthing a buried part of me. It wasn't just about looking good or catching Daniel's eye. It was about remembering what it felt like to choose myself, to stand in my own light instead of shrinking to fit someone else's shadow. You okay? Daniel asks, his voice low, cutting through the hum of the engine. He doesn't look at me, his hands steady on the wheel, but there's a warmth in his tone, a gentleness that makes my chest ache. I nod, then realize he can't see it. Yeah, I say, my voice soft, almost lost in the quiet. Just thinking. My fingers trace the edge of my coat, catching on a loose thread, and I tug at it absently, watching it unravel. I want to tell him everything. How the dress wasn't just a dress, how it was a lifeline, a way to claw back the vibrancy I'd let slip away. But the words feel too big, too fragile, so I let them sit, heavy and unspoken. He glances at me then, just for a second, his eyes catching the streetlight's glow. You wear something tonight, he says, and there's a smile in his voice, small but real. Not just the dress, though it's hard to miss. He pauses, his fingers tapping the wheel, a nervous rhythm. It's you. The way you carried yourself. Like you were. I don't know, free. My breath catches, a sharp hitch in my throat, and I turn to him, searching his face. Free. The word lands softly like snow settling on bare branches, and it stirs something deep inside me, relief maybe or recognition. I haven't felt free in a long time, I admit, my voice barely above a whisper. I've been so caught up in everything. The house, work, us. Trying to be what I thought I was supposed to be. He nods, slow and deliberate, his lips pressing into a thin line. I know, he says, and there's a weight to it, like he's been carrying the same burden. I've been doing it too. Trying to hold it all together, thinking that's what you needed. But I saw you tonight, and I realized, maybe what you need is room to be you. Not just my wife, but you. My eyes sting, and I blink hard, staring out the windshield at the road stretching into the dark. The words sink in, slow and warm, like honey pooling in my chest. I think of all the times I tried to mold myself to fit, his expectations, mine, the world's. The way I dimmed my own light, not because he asked me to, but because I thought it was safer, easier. But tonight, in that dress, I felt the opposite, vibrant, alive, like I could breathe again. And now, hearing him say this, I realize it wasn't about controlling him or fixing us. It was about reclaiming myself. We pull into our driveway, the tires crunching over a thin layer of snow. The house looms ahead, its windows dark, the porch light flickering like it's on its last legs. Daniel cuts the engine, and the silence rushes in, thick and expectant. I don't move, my hands still in my lap, the purse strap twisted into a knot. He doesn't move either, his hands resting on the wheel, his breath slow and even. I'm sorry, I say finally, the words spilling out before I can stop them. For pulling away. For thinking I had to change you to fix this. I was so focused on what was wrong that I forgot. I forgot I could choose myself too. He turns to me, his eyes soft, searching. You don't need to be sorry, he says, his voice rough with emotion. I haven't been perfect either. I let work take over, let the routine drown out what matters. But seeing you tonight, he trails off, a small laugh escaping him, warm and unguarded. You were like you were when we met, all fire and heart. And it made me want to be better, not just for you, but for me too. My throat tightens, and I reach for his hand, my fingers finding his, warm and calloused. He squeezes back, his grip firm, and for a moment, we just sit there, the car growing colder, the world outside fading away. I think of the dress again, how it wasn't the answer but the spark. A reminder that love isn't about holding someone in place, but about growing alongside them, messy and imperfect and real. I don't know what happens next, I say, my voice steady despite the tears threatening to spill. But I want to find out. Not just as your wife, but as me. Whoever that is now. He smiles, a real one this time, the kind that crinkles the corners of his eyes, and it's like seeing him for the first time in years. Charming, attentive, the man I fell in love with, but deeper now, tempered by time and truth. I want that too, he says, his thumb brushing over my knuckles, a small, grounding touch. For both of us. No more pretending we've got it all figured out. I laugh, a shaky, relieved sound, and lean my head back against the seat, feeling the weight of the night settle into something softer, lighter. The dress is still there, beneath my coat, a quiet promise to myself, to keep choosing vibrancy, confidence, the parts of me I'd buried under duty and fear. And Daniel, sitting beside me, feels like a partner in that promise, not a puzzle to solve or a prize to keep. We step out of the car, the cold biting at my cheeks, and walk toward the house, our shoulders brushing as we climb the porch steps. The snow crunches underfoot, and above us the sky is clear, stars pricking through the dark like tiny beacons. I unlock the door, the key turning smoothly, and as we step inside, the warmth of the house wraps around us, familiar but new, like a place we're just beginning to know. I slip off my coat, hanging it by the door, and the blue dress catches the light from the hallway, shimmering faintly. Daniel pauses, his eyes lingering on it, then on me, and there's a question in his gaze, soft and unspoken. I smile, not because I have all the answers, but because I'm ready to ask the questions about myself, about us, about the life we're building from here. The door closes behind us, a soft click in the quiet, and I take his hand again, feeling the pulse of possibility between us. The dress, the night, the words we've shared, they're not an end, but a beginning, a turning point that's led me back to myself and to him, not as we were, but as we could be. And as we move deeper into the house, the future feels open, vast, like a sky waiting for dawn. As we stood in the hallway, the faint glow of the lamp casting shadows on the walls, I felt the weight of the blue dress settle into my bones. Not just fabric, but a choice, a spark that had reignited something I'd thought was lost. Daniel's hand was warm in mine, his fingers laced with a quiet strength, and in that moment I finally understood. Love isn't a destination we arrive at, perfect and whole, but a journey we choose every day, flawed and beautiful. The stars outside still burned bright, their light filtering through the window, and as I leaned into him, my heart steady for the first time in months, I knew we'd keep walking this path together, not because it was easy, but because it was ours.